minutes. I'm going to quickly cover three key topics. What is Meraki's story on wireless assurance? What about the location? And the third one, for the very first time, Meraki is going to launch a brand new solution, patented solution right here for you. And with me, I have Simon, who's my marketing guy. And I would love to get your help. What could be a fabulous name? Okay, so now let me just quickly jump into the details. Okay, so the first and foremost, how's Meraki doing? So you guys have seen the Meraki demos quite a bit of time. I want to make sure that you guys understand the scale at which Meraki operates at. Meraki Wireless has 270,000 plus customers. We have 100 million plus clients connected every single day. And this is just based upon when I measure it. When you look at the distributed data plane, we measure how much traffic actually flows through it. There are 9 petabytes plus traffic that flows through Meraki just for wireless every day. Okay. When we turned on wireless assurance, first one is Meraki was a little late to the game. I would admit that. When we turned it on, we have a very disciplined manner of turning on all the networks for this. We start with a handful of alpha customers, beta customers, roll it out to 2.5% of the customers, 5%, and so on. But now, we've rolled out to 750,000 networks. Wireless health is on. If you bought a 11N AP from us, 11AC Wave 1 AP from us, 11AC Wave 2 AP from us, any AP at all, ever, you can use wireless health. As I pointed out, Meraki has a very simple philosophy, one AP, one license. Every feature that you will see on the next slide, built inside that license. We could nickel and dime customers, we don't want to. It just doesn't make sense. The other philosophy I wanted to highlight that Todd really believes in and Raj really believes in, this is a really big thing, which is if you need a product to debug our APs, we are building that software inside the dashboard for you. It's a very simple philosophy. We've implemented a significant number of APIs. I just ran this report. How many API calls do we do per day? About 25 million plus API calls are made per day. This is measured like a few weeks ago, so I'm sure this number keeps going up. We're part of the Cisco DevNet. As you can imagine, and pretty much as Dave Zaks pointed out, this is first and foremost, there is a place for on-premise, there is a place for in the cloud. Cisco offers both. He said it beautifully. I'm just going to repeat it for that. When you look at the wireless market share, for the very first time, Dell'Oro actually published a wireless cloud market share. So this is where Dell'Oro highlighted that when you have wireless cloud, Meraki owns 68.8% market share for that. The rest of the guys, the closest ones, are probably 5–6%. Okay? So when you talk wireless cloud, you're talking Meraki. The last but not the least is Meraki introduced MR32s in Jan 2014, almost 4 years ago. This had 4 radios, 2 client-serving radios, a scanning radio, Bluetooth radio. As you can imagine, everybody else will keep copying that over a period of time. Just a quick update for you. What do you mean by cloud-based Wi-Fi? I didn't give you a background for you guys. For people that don't know me, I'm Jeevan. I'm a baby in Meraki terms, but for Wi-Fi, I've done more than 10 years in the Aeronet side of the house. Okay. So quickly, when I joined Meraki, I was like amazed by a few cool statistics. We do 300 updates a day, right? So if you sort of have a specific issue or something, that's customer impacting, we would sort of stop everything else. We would fix that, get it rolled out. And it literally takes like a matter of 4 hours to get things rolled out. Depending on the criticality and the scope of the impact, we would do the appropriate amount of testing. It would last to a couple of weeks because we do 3 years worth of automated testing in a matter of 2 weeks and then roll it out. There are a few key innovations that I want to highlight because Meraki never ever talks about features. We just turn it on by default for every customer. You don't have to worry about it. The thing that I wanted to highlight, Meraki, as I pointed out, continues to shape the market with the innovations. We've done like the Bluetooth capability was introduced many moons ago. We have Bluetooth in every one of our APs. Take 33, take 42, take 52, 53. Every single AP that we have, is shipping with Bluetooth. I'll give you a couple of updates about how we use Bluetooth at the existing Cisco GSX. We introduced Apple Fastlane. One of the ways that we actually innovated, what's the point of all the data that we have, at the back end? One of the ways we innovated was with the crack problem. If you guys have seen, what did we respond with? Here is what we did. So as I told you, we have 750,000 networks. There's crack, which affects a few networks. What we did simply was determine which network was impacted by crack, and we told the customer what to do to fix it. The way we did it is if you logged into the dashboard, you got that as an alert. Here is what you do to fix it. That's it. And yes, we had it in our new features/bugs/updates page. So that's basically the Meraki response. This is the benefit of having the data. Without this, I would have had to come and send an email to you, send a doc update, any of these kinds of things. The other parts that we've done, Meraki has done, is smart antennas. Now, this is a pretty cool capability that we did. Meraki did not have external antennas on indoor APs, so we introduced this concept of smart antennas. Very simple thing. From a customer standpoint, you had the ability to detect what kind of antenna it is, and actually, as soon as you plug it into the RPTNC connector. And, one day, Sherlock Sam detected this. We didn't tell him how we did it, so he opened up the APs and the antennas and then figured out the way that we did it. So if you guys are interested, go and look at his blog, how we do it. Now, moving ahead to the other one, right? One of the cool things, I don't know if you guys have noticed, MR42 and 53 have an external antenna for Bluetooth as well as scanning. Mark my words, every other vendor will copy it in the future. Why is this needed? It's very simple. It's because, if you have a coverage, right? If you have a directional coverage, you want to make sure that even your scanning and your BLE have the same coverage as the rest of the infrastructure.
I'm super interested. Can you just say that again to make sure I heard you right?
Yes, absolutely. So imagine I have a typical Omni Bluetooth coverage surrounding me, and the same thing with the scanning radio surrounding me.
Right.
There'll be different sized concentric circles. You might have a directional antenna on your client serving guys.
Right.
The problem is that anybody that's done deployment, you actually want your client serving, your scanning, and your BLE to cover the exact same area. That's what we did.
And so external antennas.
Yes.
For all of that.
For your 4253, we simply have external antenna connections, and we also have a portfolio of external antennas that we've introduced.
For all the radios?
Yes. For 42E and 53s. Yep, absolutely. Shipping right now, people, so feel free to place the order. All right, so the next one is wireless health. One thing that I would admit is Meraki was slow to introduce wireless health, but there are a few cool things that we have actually added. The first one that I would say is quality of service. Most of the other vendors that you've heard from have not seen this. Feel free to take a look at their roadmap as they copy that from us, in the next few months or years, okay? One of the really cool things that doesn't make a whole lot of sense is FastTag. This is meant to be confusing right now. Wait for a few more slides. I wanted to keep your interest up, and then you can help me figure out if this is a great idea to name it, or is there any other solution? There are a couple of innovations I'm incredibly excited about. Like, we've just introduced the umbrella integration from Meraki, and I'm seeing like explosion of sort of alpha, beta level deployments with this. What I really wanted to highlight for you guys is dual management interface. There are a lot of customers that came in saying, Meraki is missing this feature, that feature. So we've added layer 3 fast secure roam. We've added multiple other features and functionalities. What we were really missing is like there were conservative customers that did not want to go cloud. Their security guys said, I don't want to open up all the ports. Can you actually do something different for me? What we did is we created a different virtual network interface on an AP. So it's a software thing. It's basically a software virtual network interface. So it allows you to send SNMP, syslog, radius type of traffic through a separate interface. So the beauty is now you are a super conservative customer. You don't have to go and sort of fight with security to say, oh, I don't want to go cloud. Now you can. That's the beauty of this. You can send these kinds of traffic to an internal server, while the rest of the stuff, the AP just connects to the cloud. So very simple. So as you can see, Meraki has been made incredibly robust. I was actually surprised by this, when I joined about 8-9 months ago. Meraki's wireless assurance solution.
On that previous slide,
go ahead.
Pop back.
Yeah.
What does it mean when there's a hole in the middle?
Oh,
you have solid dots and envelopes.
These ones are great question. These ones are actually in what I would call as beta mode. We would actually just turn into shipping as soon as we feel that enough number of people have exercised it. We just have like a pretty rigid amount of numbers that we need to meet. So once we see enough number of customers exercise it, only then we mark it as GA. Meraki's wireless health is a pretty comprehensive solution. We look at, when you're on the client, if you're an Apple iPhone or something, obviously we get the Apple fast lane type of capabilities. When you look at, systems manager, which is Meraki's solution, you can go down at the client and get all the data from there. Then you look at the wireless health, which is again, allows you to figure out, is it my problem? Is it the wired guy's problem? Is it the applications guy's problem? Is it client problem, right? Then you also get the Meraki dashboard. If you remember, all the APs that I talked about right now for the last 4 years, have a packet capture in there. That's part of our solution. You can go to the switch, do packet captures. You can go to the MX, do packet captures. There is a full layer 2, layer 3 network topology that's all available in your dashboard. So if you just click on those places, you can pretty much see this. And then last but not the least is Meraki Insight. Meraki Insight is a pretty cool new product that we've launched. This is for peeking inside applications and saying, if I'm a school, I want to check out like all the different, testing applications in an exam. Let me compare, how we are doing, versus the other school. Let me sort of, figure out what's exactly the good part. Where am I messing up? So this is really a complete solution for you, end to end, down from the client to the apps level. Okay. The next part that I wanted to highlight, as I pointed out, the reason for pointing out all of the data on the second slide was, it's not really for showing off, but just to highlight, using the data, we actually do things. The main point is taking data from all of the different customer, and this is kept in an incredibly anonymized manner. I just wanted to highlight each one of Meraki employees actually only has access to specific stuff. There are customers that come in and say, I don't want even Meraki developers to access packet captures in my organization. You can actually go ahead and set those secrecy levels that you want on your org. That's possible. But you can actually use some of the data from the anonymized manner from the customers to say, many customers ran into this problem. Here is basically using the data from the different devices, from the different clients, from the different events, from the clients itself. You can actually put together patterns, and using this, we use this to actually fix problems. I mean, ultimately, I should never need to tell you what problem did I fix using the data of somebody that's based in China, some deployment done in Russia. I mean, I don't care really where the deployment is. If that particular security issue happened there, we fixed it for you. That's it. So our own wireless health was actually used a couple of times. One time there was a customer that upgraded our AP code and simultaneously upgraded the Microsoft OS. So we were able to use our wireless health to actually figure that out. There was actually the Windows OS was sort of breaking sort of authentication a few months ago. So we were able to figure that out and fix it. Another time we actually had a problem in our own DNS code, and we discovered it in the beta, using our own wireless health. So that was actually just success to us. I mean, the good part is, it was still in beta. We figured it out and we fixed it quickly. But it's like, ultimately nobody needs to know what was actually done to do this. The other part that Meraki has also done is all of the content for wireless health is available via APIs. That's in beta right now. So if any of you want to use this, we can give it to you guys. If there are partners that want to pull data from this and do things from there, you can do this. Again, you can expect webhooks, pretty shortly. As you guys remember from Aeronet World, I introduced webhooks out there. Now, we should get this out here too. Okay, so really quickly, I wanted to make sure we spend some time on the new technology called Meraki FastAct. This is a patented solution, so absolutely nobody has this right now. And with this, I just wanted to introduce the problem. So TCP was introduced with wired in mind. Dave, you can probably present to this better than I can, but I'm going to take an attempt at this. So the challenge with this is with wireless, your transmitter must queue the traffic destined for the same receiver, right? I mean, this is the first thing you have to do. Assume the traffic is going in from downstream, so which basically means I'm a student downloading data from the AP all the way down to the client. The second problem, everybody knows this out here, CSMA CD. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Anybody that's talking, everybody else is going to be quiet and respect. So the more the number of clients, the more is the latency. The more the noise in the environment, the more is the latency. So what ends up happening is with AX, we started doing a lot of sort of aggregation, right? I mean, we started with AMPDU, AMSDU, and this stuff further complicates the problem. And last but not the least, you guys know that every time you have congestion, what ends up happening is, when you have congestion, it's treated like a loss. It'll back off and it'll keep retrying again and again and again. It's a TCP is a self-clocking mechanism. You guys are familiar with this. So now, what we introduced is a concept called as FastAct. What is this about? I want to simplify this in a nutshell. If I can't say this in 30 seconds, not worth it. So this basically is simply trying to highlight to you, if you have a packet sent from the AP to the client, there is a physical acknowledgement, which is layer 2 ACK. This happens somewhere between 9 microseconds to 16 microseconds. I don't know exactly. I should ask the engineer. But this is roughly, to my knowledge. OK, good. So Keith says I'm OK. So with respect to TCP ACK, this may start anywhere from 2 milliseconds all the way to maybe 65 milliseconds as we measured it, right? So this is the problem that we are trying to acknowledge. I mean, to simplify this for the rest of you guys in the competition, OK, let me just highlight to you. So if I'm presenting to somebody right now, and if Jennifer just smiles at me, I will take that as layer 2 ACK. So she likes what I'm saying, so she smiles. So that's a physical acknowledgement that happens within microseconds. And then she has to do TCP ACK. For TCP ACK, she has to look around and say, oh, is Stuart saying something? Then in that case, I'm going to stop and then say yes. So that yes takes time. So this is what we are taking care of. As soon as we get a layer 2 ACK, we respond. Boom. The AP sends data to the client. So that's the first concept in a nutshell.
Like as a proxy TCP ACK?
No, what we are simply doing is, here is data to be sent from the AP to the client. The AP does aggregation at AP level. What ends up happening is the AP has to send something to the client and say, hey, are you ready to receive the packet? The client says, yeah, at a physical layer. And then it says it at a TCP layer higher in the OSI stack. And what we are doing is essentially saying, yeah, we got a physical ACK from you already. Here it's the data.
So, but it's sending the TCP ACK instead of the client.
So it's actually, yeah, it's
so the access point's doing it for you.
That's happening.
It's an ACK proxy. It's
exactly.
ACK proxy.
Right.
Okay.
Does the client still have to send his ACK later?
Client is going to send its ACK later anyway. What I'm trying to say
is you're
not
not saving any airtime. You're just speeding up the wired side.
Exactly. We are sending the airtime downstream, because what we are saying is we don't wait for this guy to send you the data. We send it right here for you. In parallel, this guy is going to contend for airtime in the future anyway. So you're absolutely right.
And then you're going to have to ignore that one.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly. We'll just ignore that one. So now the sharp guys within you will say, wait a minute, Jeevan, what happens during a roam? Because that was my first question.
You're talking you're talking microseconds versus many milliseconds.
Exactly, right. I mean, so ultimately there is a couple of things that you can say. Is first one is like, yeah, there is possibility that the TCP ACK somehow disappears, in the path. Who cares? Because we already got the layer 2 ACK. We're going to send the data to you anyway. Second part is, what happens if there is a roam? What we do is, as I pointed out, Meraki already supports the full layer 2, layer 3 roam. So what ends up happening is the AP will keep aggregating the packets right here. And if there is a roam that happens, we won't discard these packets until it's sent to the neighboring AP, which sends the data down to the client. So those types of things. Cool concept? Does that make sense?
What's the net effect?
Great question. I think you must have
I was
seen
just helping you with your slides.
Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. You've looked at the time and you're moving it along. Okay. So we've seen about 38% improvement in throughput. So that's what we measured. The next steps, we are actually putting it down into the Richfield lab to actually make sure it works the exact same. As you guys know, with Richfield, Ohio, you're able to test it out across hundreds of clients, across lots of APs in a well-publicized. You guys are familiar with those labs and everything. So that way you would trust those labs over the Meraki labs. So that's why I just want to put it out there. The second part is, you might ask, hey, what if I turn TCP FastTag only on one AP and not on the other AP? What happens? So what we did is we also measured that. So this is the vanilla plus vanilla. This is the throughput, the total aggregate throughput you get with that. If you turn it on only on one AP, that's getting more throughput. This guy is getting lesser throughput. This guy is actually when you turn on FastTag on both of these APs. So essentially what I'm trying to say is turn it on for your whole network, you would actually get the highest throughput.
Is the goal to get this eventually into 802.11 or?
So we would absolutely, get this into 802.11. The idea around this one is to, from a Meraki standpoint, is first and foremost to simply turn it on as a default. So you as a customer wouldn't even see this as a checkbox, turn on, turn off. We would just turn it on. But absolutely, we are working very closely, with the Aeronet guys on all standards-based activities. So definitely makes sense to.
And unlike Fastlane, this is good for all clients.
All clients, you don't have to configure anything on the clients. You don't have to configure anything on the APs. This is automatic Meraki magic that you get by simply getting an AP and a license.
Will we be seeing this Meraki magic on Cisco Wireless?
You will definitely start seeing, all these cross exchanges that happen between Aeronet and Meraki. Ever since I've joined on the other side, I think this has become, we've just openly started to acknowledge, the teamwork and the collaboration has improved quite a bit. So you will see all the innovations cross-pollinate. It's one Cisco anyway. So essentially, the next thing that I wanted to highlight for you in the next 5 or so minutes is wireless location enhancements. So first and foremost, there's a lot of conversation about location. I know exactly how many of those 750,000 networks have location turned on. The one thing that I wanted to highlight is here is the capability Meraki has. If somebody comes back and says, I want 1 meter accuracy, Meraki is not going for it. I'm just going to say, here is what you can get with the Meraki Wi-Fi. Here is what you can get with Meraki Bluetooth. If you want anything else, absolutely, we have Cisco Hyperlocation, which gives you the best in class. That's my quick pitch. Let me give you an idea what we did. We went to the Richfield labs again. What we are trying to show you is this is the kind of deployment. We had a lot of APs in here. We had a lot of, we had the clients in between. What I'm simply trying to highlight with respect to Wi-Fi location, Meraki has done quite a few cool enhancements in there. This complicated picture is trying to show you we've used the third scanning radio to actually align the timing of all of these scans. So we are scanning, all the APs are actually scanning the same channel at the same time. That's what we are trying to highlight with this. Using this kind of technology, using some of the technologies around, RSSI, relative power determination of clients, we are actually able to fine-tune the, triangulation, and we were able to achieve a result of about, observed result, as Daryl pointed out, of about 3 meter accuracy. So this is what we've been able to achieve. I'm not able to say that at this point of time, this is what I'm going to guarantee or stamp it in paper everywhere. What I'm trying to highlight is at the Richfield, Ohio labs, we were able to measure up to 3 meter accuracy. This depends on whether you have the ability for 3 APs to look for a client. This is triangulation, Wi-Fi triangulation after all. But if you are able to do this, then you can actually achieve this kind of capability. If you're outside of this, only one AP hears you, all bets are off, right? I mean, you will get what you get with a typical Wi-Fi. But using our third radio, doing some of the algorithm enhancements, using some of the time synchronization that we've done, we've got a pretty amazing location accuracy. So from a Meraki standpoint, if you want up to 3-meter accuracy, we have a solution for you. And from a Todd perspective, as you've seen, this is pretty much simply fits into the Meraki 80-20 rule. This is what you get with Meraki. If you want something more, you might have to look at something else. The other part is, keep in mind, everybody talks about AI, ML, all of that kind of stuff. From a Meraki standpoint, every single device plugged into the Meraki dashboard reports data back into the dashboard. So I'm seeing quite a bit of customers actually say, hey, I need to track location, I need to track people. There are new kind of people that come in saying, maybe I should just use a camera for tracking number of people, for people count. There is a way to anonymize that and sort of say this. I simply wanted to highlight this for this esteemed audience that, guys, I mean, there might be more than one way of skinning the cat, right? I mean, there's like Wi-Fi, there is BLE, and there is, cameras. So you could use any of these and sort of, enhance your location. From a Meraki standpoint, we put all these together and start giving you one view of it. The other part I wanted to highlight is we used BLE at GSX, and this is the last thing that I wanted to highlight. Using 186 Meraki APs, we didn't even use the best in class. We just threw in the 42 E's with the external antennas, and we threw that in. And essentially, we were, while Aeronet was used to actually serve the clients, the Meraki APs were used for the BLE capability. And just wanted to highlight for you, we were able to track, out of the 17,000 SEs that attended GSX, we were able to track quite a bit of these. And the dashboard that you see out here, this was actually developed by a third-party partner that I won't name right now. But essentially, it simply used the API that's existing on our dashboard. None of our engineers did any work other than shipping the APs out. We were able to track this. And what you see in the pie charts out here is you are able to designate certain areas, right? I mean, you are in a GSX area, you're in a hub area, you're in a lunch area, all of those. You're able to figure that out using existing shipping Meraki code with existing APs. I know we have 23 seconds left, so I wanted to highlight for you guys. You've been a fabulous audience. First and foremost, we have Meraki wireless health shipping. We have location capability shipping. And please give me an idea. Simon is looking for a name for FastTag. If you like FastTag, let me know. If you want a better name, let us know.